Thank you.
Okay, thanks for introducing me. For those of you that do not know me, I'm Peter, or Earx, known in the demo scene. I used to be an organizer, and the friendly organizers today asked me to maybe present something what I'm doing these days. I make analog synthesizers, and as previously told, my company is Stacy Chips Electronics. So, here we are at the outline, you can see that. Stacy Chips Electronics is a company that specializes in synthesizers, hardware synthesizers, analog synthesizers. Pretty loud. Yes. Okay, the origins of the synthesizer. Let's get that laser pointer. So here you see Robert Moog in the 60s sitting behind his enormous modular synthesizer where you actually had to patch all the wires to make your sounds, and that's where the word patch comes from. How do these synthesizers work? And actually they work exactly the same these days. 90% of the synthesizers works via this subtractive scheme. You have an oscillator, and you can control the frequency, so higher frequency, more periods per second. You can control the envelope with the voltage controlled amplifier, and which if you have a very fast attack in your envelope, you get a piano sound, and otherwise you get more like an organ sound. We can control other things like the release and the sustain level here, what they also call ADSR. And finally there's the filter, which is quite defining for most synthesizers, and actually the 8-bit sound chips mostly do not have these kinds of filters except the SID. And then you have this, and otherwise you have you can control the brightness. Wow. And for the rest it's some control logic, and in the old days it used to be all analog, and these days it's typically a microcontroller, since the 80s actually. So the timeline. In the 60s you had these modulars, in the 70s they became miniaturized and you got a keyboard inside. In the 80s there was a huge interest in digital synthesis because it was very cheap and powerful. But in the 90s people discovered that actually they were missing something. This digital sound was very clean and cold, and actually people were longing back for the analog filters. So for instance the Roland 303 became very collectible, and all these drum computers like the 808 also. That's when you also got the Clavia Nord and the Access Fire synthesizers. It's all virtual analog. Then in the last decade you got the soft synths, but also for mobile platforms, so tablet form. You can do it on your iPad. But still in the last years, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, there's a resurgence in interest for analog stuff, real analog hardware, and even modular stuff. So I decided to jump on the bandwagon. Just an example of how popular it is. There are like underground artists like Richard Devine and Venetian Snares, but there's also Deadmau5 and Armin van Buuren even that are using these analog synthesizers these days. So it's really booming. So how does Stacy Chips fit into this? We decided we wanted to make hardware, but with especially because of the control. In a hardware synth you have knobs for everything. You don't have a display with 5 levels deep menus. And we want also character, so we want to have filters who burp and fart instead of a really sterile thing. And furthermore, we want a good performance to price ratio. For instance, Moog nowadays, they restarted making synthesizers, and they make stuff for like 1,500 euros. And then you have a synthesizer that cannot do that much. So we want to do something for, let's say, a third of the price. Last year saw the start of Daisy Chips, started by me, and as you can see here, it's Arduino. For those of you that do not know Arduino, it's this prototyping platform which you connect to your PC. And you have these header pins on which you can make your own electronic shield on top. And this became the first synthesizer. That's the Piggy. So this Arduino piggyback synthesizer. Piggyback is the way you slide it on top. And as you can see, the board's actually 3 times as big as the whole Arduino. But you see here the MIDI ports, the filter control, you can tune the oscillator, and the rest is all analog circuitry. And it's quite a simple thing, but it has its own character and it's relatively cheap. I'm actually selling a couple of these, so if you're interested, come over to my place. This was followed up by the Super Piggy, and the Super Arduino piggyback synthesizer, here photographed in its natural habitat. It was cased by Matthijs Witteveen, and it has some more knobs to control the envelope. It has a display, there's a pulse width modulation knob also. And I don't know what these are for, but probably for the future. And we decided not to sell this thing because we really want to stay ahead of the competition. It's really competitive at the moment, so looking forward to the next big thing. That's the Daisy Chips Electronics 1M, and I have it over here, and I will also demonstrate it in a video. It has filter sweeps, it has an LFO, like wibble wobble, and looping ADSR and multiple filter modes. I will demonstrate all this. In the future, actually this prototype we don't even want to produce. We want to be one step ahead. We want to do a polyphonic synth with 8 voices and keep the analog character with the analog VCO. And in combination with Stu, we are working on a new synth that's portable and meant for live tracking and sampling, these kind of things. Possibly we might want to make do-it-yourself kits as well. I don't know if that's going to happen this year, but it will allow enthusiasts with a soldering iron to do something for 100 euros. You can make your own synthesizer. And this is a multi-filter board. That's a nice thing about electronics. You can see even that one channel is one column on the board, basically. So this is a 4-channel analog filter board. I have to give some credits, especially to Matthijs Witteveen, D-Force, because he really helped with assembly and casing and all kinds of design hints. So I'm not in this alone. I'm really happy about that. Okay, so now we arrive at the video demonstration. This will take a few minutes, I guess. But also other MIDI stuff is implemented. Everything you see here is... It's not the right one. Hi guys, welcome to the presentation of the Daisy Chips Electronics 1M prototype synthesizer, an analog synthesizer, with MIDI controls, and USB, and line out, as you can see here. So let's get ready to rumble. As you may notice, it has a lot of knobs and quite some buttons. It's actually a synthesizer that has all the basic analog stuff like a saw, and now it's pulse mode. This is a saw. This is ADSR. That kind of stuff. It has LFO. Here you can control the rate. Here you can control, for instance, pitch integration, filter integration. The filter section is half the same as what you'd expect it to be. There's a cutoff here. And there's a resonance over here. there's also a sweep mode. So basically the sweep mode is now off, but you can select a sweep. So this is a sweep that goes up to your keyboard track position. It goes from low up to high basically. And now it goes from low to infinity. And you can set the direction to the opposite side, so it goes from high to low. That's what it does. And you can set the speed here. So very fast. Pretty slow. Okay, and yeah, this resonance knob, it has over resonance or self-oscillation, and it can be quite painful to the ears. Pretty heavy stuff, as you can hear. The filter is not just a simple low pass, but it's also it can also do band pass. Yeah, that's a band pass. You can also do. You can also do high pass.
Thank you very much. Just need to use this clicker. Perfect. This will make her day. Thanks.
And you can also do everything at the same time, if that's your kind of thing. So now all modes are activated. And you can try to push the resonance a bit further. Make it somewhat louder. Quite a funny effect, I think. The ADSR is, well, it's not just a normal ADSR, it also has a looping mode where it goes, it's nice for diagnostics. And you can even do some kind of granular synthesis with it. Okay, well, that's basically it. Okay, and I also make some music. I'm not a musician, so prepare to suffer. So all the stuff from the Piggy. So for instance, frequency modulation, pitch bend, but also other MIDI stuff is implemented. Everything you see here is also present here, basically. So ADSR. You have filter brightness. That kind of stuff. And you even have the LFO rate. So you see here that it's changing. It's now controlled with this one. You can override it also. So yeah, a lot of stuff is really controllable, and yeah, well, more stuff will be MIDI controllable.
Oh God! Did you read all this answer? That's right. Music.
Snel arpeggiaten, for those of you that know. Thank you. It's not quite Gasman, as you said. Yeah, correct. Oh, yeah. How do we go? Full screen. Yeah. Okay, we're already at the end, I guess. But there's time for some questions. First of all, I would like to ask a question to you guys. I really want to come in contact with musicians, want to know everything about you, and if you would like to have a prototype on some kind of indefinite loan, then I'm all game for that. So please come up to my table. And well, if anybody has a question for me now, then please go ahead.
Do you plan to add a second oscillator at some point so you can do frequency modulation and stuff like that?
Okay, you're asking if I would have room for a second oscillator. In this prototype I could add it, there's still room in the box. But eventually I want to, we want to go on to the polyphonic stuff, so we get 4 or even 8. So the answer is yes. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, the mystery in the back.
Yeah. Basically, what's your... Should I start with the marker?
It's better that way, I guess.
Basically, what's your plan for differentiating yourself compared to the competition? Because there's plenty of different options on the marketplace, and stepping away from the rudimentary stuff, what's the idea to create a unique profile that will attract people to your product?
That's a very good question, and it's extremely hard to differentiate because there are a lot of people doing this. There are even more people making software synthesizers. So hardware is one thing, but a lot of people are doing that. But I would say, control, but a lot of people are doing that as well. We want to keep the analog character. That's what we want. So that differentiates us. There are a lot of people who do not want to cross this threshold of analog, so we can stay in this niche. And for the rest, we want to make it, I think a bit more fun or tasty or whatever you want to call it to use. For instance, for live. That's what we really strive for, to make excellent live instrument. Okay, thanks. Oh, that's real resonance, I guess. Anybody else?
Have you planned for any further additions, effects or delays, distortion?
Okay, further additions, effects, distortion. Yes, is the answer. We want to do, for instance, a bit crusher for sure, and maybe something like a delay unit inside it. So and if you have any preferences, then please tell us. Okay, I think one last question, if anybody would like to ask. Okay, that's it then. Thank you very much for your attention, and I want to thank the organizers again, and well, have a blast. Thanks.